from the NBA trade deadline, and there is an elephant in the front office. What do the Bucks do with Giannis? So let's welcome in our senior NBA insider, Charania. Of course, you first reported Giannis now open to being traded from Milwaukee. I guess, what are you hearing about the chatter, best landing spots for Giannis Antetokounmpo?
BC, there's 4 teams that have emerged as the strongest suitors so far in the process for Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's the New York Knicks, Miami Heat, Golden State Warriors, and Minnesota Timberwolves. But it all starts with the price point. And my understanding is the Bucks, in all trade conversations around Giannis, have asked for a blue-chip young player and or a surplus of draft picks. They are getting some aggressive offers right now that include all-star caliber players, multiple draft picks. So they're going to sift through offers this week, next week, and see, does anyone rise to that threshold? The Bucks have also indicated to teams that they're not in a rush. They could handle this in the offseason as well if they so choose, but there's a double-edged sword there with that as well, because Giannis will have a little bit more control come the offseason, because next season will be essentially an expiring contract. He has a player option in 2027. So that means that any team that trades for him has to know whether he will sign a long-term extension, which means it will have an impact on Giannis dictating, potentially even more in the summertime, where he goes.
Yeah, well, I guess Giannis obviously set the social media on blaze last night when members of his family tweeted out that picture of him at a Miami Heat game. We'll see what happens there. Let's go to the West, the Rockets. Their title chances took a hit. Steven Adams, as you reported, season-ending surgery on his ankle. He was the veteran there on the boards for them. We know that Fred VanVleet, he's been out with an ACL. So what does this latest injury information mean for Houston? What do they do?
They have been just absolutely ravaged. You have Fred VanVleet, your starting point guard. He's potentially out for the season. Steven Adams, he's played as a starter. He's a reserve. He's out for the season. They've had Dorian Finney-Smith out for a significant period of time this year. They still are, though, a top 4 seed. Despite these significant injuries, they've been winning around Kevin Durant still. But my understanding is this is a team that is still very confident in their young core. Alperen Sengun, Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith Jr., Reed Shepard. They want to give this group a runway for the next several years. These are all players in their early to mid-20s, and so they want to see these guys gradually get better and better. I expect that Rockets organization, they're always going to be active and engaged, but they want that young core to continue to grow together.
Yeah, that young core that they got, really, really talented. Of course, you can see more of Shams, top of the hour on NBA Today. Shams, thank you.
So Giannis is the prize of the trade deadline. Where will he potentially land? Now on .com, our front office insider Bobby Marks breaks down which teams have the most to offer for Giannis, including the Warriors, Knicks, Timberwolves, and Heat. All teams, Shams reported, are vying for the All-Star. So let's go through how difficult Bobby projects it to be for those 4 teams to add Giannis on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10, of course, being the most difficult. So Bobby gives Golden State a 2 to pull off a Giannis trade. Jimmy Butler's $54.1 million salary is a necessity in any deal. Golden State could also include Jonathan Kuminga and Braden Podziemski and up to 4 first-round picks. Now, a move to the Heat receives a 7. They have a cap room, young players, Terry Rozier's $26 million expiring contract to include in deals, but Miami can't trade a first-round pick until the next decade. It is tougher for Minnesota, who gets an 8. They have no first-round picks available, and they're walking on financial tightrope. Landing Antetokounmpo could require some deadline maneuvering from their president, Tim Connolly. Now, the Knicks, they also are going to get an 8. They're light on draft assets and heavily into the apron and its financial limitations. They would have Karl Anthony Towns to swap straight up, or a package, of course, for a combo of OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges. So knowing all of that, let's welcome in NBA analyst Danny Green. So given what we just laid out for potential Giannis destinations, which of those teams do you believe would have the best chance to win it now, despite obviously having to give up a number of assets to get their guy?
As much as I would love to see him playing with Steph Curry, I think you got to go and stay in the East with the Knicks. The Knicks have the best chance. They're one of the top teams in the East. They have Jalen Brunson. The East is always wide open. And if you add a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think that solves a lot of issues if you don't have to deplete your depth. If you can keep a guy like OG Anunoby, if you can keep Mitchell Robinson and maybe Josh Hart, I think you could make some really special things happen. They have a really good bench. They have everything they need. I don't think they're in a rush to get him. They still can get him this offseason. More of a rush for him because if he can get a trade sooner than later, he could also get his extension sooner than later. But yeah, I think the Knicks are probably the best suited for him to win a championship right now.
I want to talk about a team that we didn't talk about, the Rockets, who are without two key cogs for the foreseeable future, and Steven Adams and Fred VanVleet, who suffered a torn ACL last May. What is this year's ceiling for KD in Houston without those two guys?
It's going to be tough. They're a really good team, and this is a big loss. Steven Adams is huge for them. You know, he starts. He's their second big. They use that big lineup to out-rebound people and bully them. So without him, you got to play more of a Clint Capella, Sengun, secondary bigs, which changes your whole lineup and your whole depth. And you don't have Fred VanVleet. I mean, Reece Shepherd has come along greatly. He's done a great job. But you also need somebody at that guard position. So if they want to win now, they probably have to make a move. But if I'm them, I'd sit tight and wait till next year and everybody comes back healthy with Steven Adams, Fred VanVleet, and company because you still have a real shot. But yeah, right now I don't see them going any further than the Western Conference semis. Okay, so the Rockets are currently 4th in the West. They have the Hawks tonight. Danny has NBA today at 3 Eastern right here on ESPN2. Danny, thank you. Yesterday on this very show, somebody should take this pointer away from me. On this very show, Joe Fortenbaugh was all over the red-hot Charlotte Hornets on the road against the Grizzlies. Take a listen.
Probably my favorite one, Charlotte, -2.5 over Memphis in this matchup tonight. Charlotte has been an absolute wagon, and people aren't really noticing. Take a look at this. Since the start of January, #1 in the NBA, and not only offensive rating, but in net rating. They've been laying it on people.
So yesterday, Joe was not the only one to shout out the recent Hornets run yesterday. Check out this from last night's Inside the NBA.
Ernie, since you calling me out, break out your little pad again, please.
Oh, come on.
The Hornets are not.
Hold on.
I love.
Just the other day,
ball,
January 24th, the Hornets are in the play-in.
Change it.
Change it.
The Hornets are going to be in the playoffs.
I bet. In playoffs.
The Hornets are going to be in the playoffs.
I bet everything I got.
I like how Ernie is writing something down there. Jofo is here, by the way.
Totally not actually writing that down.
He probably wasn't. He's probably doing something else. As I said, somebody should take this pointer away from me because now I'm like.
Yeah.
But
had
do
a
you
few
agree?
issues over there with the screen, if I may say.
Yes, just one. Do you agree with Chuck there?
Yeah, from one gambler to another, challenge accepted. To make the playoffs right now, Charlotte's 4-1, which means $10 bet returns 40 in profit. There's a lot to like. 34 games remaining. I don't want you to pay attention to that. I want you to pay attention to their point differential, plus 1.6. That's how many points the Hornets are outscoring the opposition by on average this season. That is better than Toronto, Philadelphia, Chicago, Atlanta, and Orlando, all teams that currently rank above this squad. Their problem is what happens in close games. They're 0-6 in games decided by 3 or fewer points. You flip that, this team is nasty. You saw what they've done in January. #1 in net rating, #1 in offensive rating. The rest of the way, their schedule is middle of the pack. This is a good team. I'm with Chuck. I think they make the playoffs.
I will listen to Joe. 27 points, Joe.
27. The joke carries over to an audience that has no idea what she's talking about.
I'm the scorer, by the way.
Yeah.